Hey everyone, it's Critical Art 64. Caesar here with the second episode of my Enter the 36 Chambers of Art challenge. This challenge is one anyone can do. The chambers are listed in my DeviantArt page, or you can watch my video detailing the challenge. If you complete 10, you get Senpai rank. If you do 20 successfully, you get Master rank, 30 Grandmaster, 36 Supreme Grandmaster. And for every rank you're able to achieve, you get a video from yours truly about your art. I got a special episode featuring my cousin Alan Ayala, relatively newer to digital art. He's a talented artist who's improving all the time. His submissions are a mix of newer and older pieces, and the subject matter he's going with is anything. So starting with the first chamber, the Chamber of Reality, we have a black and white profile portrait of Golden Age actor Rock Hudson. Starting with the strengths is that the shirt is rendered perfectly. Most of the edge work is really solid. This kind of has an Art Deco Chicano art feel to it, especially with all the smooth shading. I give it about an A-. There are a couple of things to keep in mind. One of the most common mistakes in drawing profiles, the profile angle, from the side, is underestimating how small the features are from this angle. Our minds like to exaggerate what our eyes focus on. So now when working on hair, I would suggest using multiple layers and then work from dark to light and then going from shapes. Then as you go lighter, that's where you get the detail. And usually you want the hard edges near the face. Also for realism, the skin is a bit smooth on this. So a quick digital painting hack is to create a noise layer and then, just toy around and tweak the blending modes to see what fits best. But all in all, you get a pass. Next up is the Chamber of Negative Space, where you either start with a dark canvas or utilize negative space as the subject. Here we have a self-portrait where Ellen is apparently in God mode. Very readable and, a nice, safe choice, simple choice. I sent him a copy of my critiques and he sent this redo with the improved limbs and face. I think your initial instincts with the cape were a better fit for the style. The lines in the cape are a bit heavy and inconsistent. You want to go a little finer with the lines because usually when you use heavy lines, that typically reads as something that is hard as opposed to a soft cape. So I would go finer with the lines and just make sure to make them a little smoother. Also, I would avoid tangents, which is whenever there's lines that overlap. And it basically flattens your image when you do that, makes it harder to read. So especially with the more simple styles, you're going to want to avoid tangents. Definitely look it up. But all in all, you get a B- on this one. Next up is Chamber of Simplicity, which is minimalism. Now this one's an A+ for me. It's absolutely hits the challenge. Good minimalism, and the thing about this is you cannot add or remove any elements. It is what it is. Perfectly done. A+. Next up is Chamber of Shadows, and we get a woman showering in studio light. This I'll give an A. Monochrome is always a good option for studies, especially when you're getting the shadows and getting the values right. This is pretty spot on. The proportions are perfect. The only issues I have are really minor. Like I would have went softer on the eyebrow. And some of the cast shadows are a little bit on the dark side, especially since it looks like there's a little bit of ambient light, a little bit of reflected light flowing around. I would have gone a little bit lighter on the shadows. But all in all, a pass for me. This one's A. Next up, we got Chamber of Rendering, which is any style that puts an emphasis on rendering three-dimensional forms. So we got Woody from Toy Story. I tracked down the reference. As you can see, it's pretty spot on. His torso is shorter in the drawing, but I think that really works here. So I don't count that as a miss. The critiques I see in this, I would have liked seeing more texture in the pants. And also the drawing is missing some shading in the shirt and the pants. Also the shading transitions in the hands are softer in the original render. And there needs to be a little bit more orange and red in the hand because of subsurface scattering. Since skin or In this case, like PVC is semi-transparent. It's going to bend the light orange a little bit, like this. But you get the face right on, and so it's definitely a pass for me. Get like a B+ here. Next up is Chamber of Lines, and here we have a pen and ink Nightmare Lady. Now this is an older piece from him, and you can really see how far he's come. The first issue I have with this piece is structure. The lips are a bit big, so is the jaw. Also, when drawing women, you want to use less lines on the nose, since lines masculinize and age the face. Also, drawing lines, when you're drawing lines, you want to make sure it's super clean. I would suggest using either a fixable ruler or French curves to achieve smoother lines. I give this piece a C-, so you pass. Next up is Chamber of the East, which is any anime style. Here's another older piece. We got Vegeta and Trunks, father and son kind of deal. Now Vegeta here's a pretty stumpy guy. He could be just a little less stumpy in the drawing itself. The Trunks is spot on, but all in all, it's a pass. This kind of reminds me of something I would see painted on the wall of an arcade back in the day. Definitely hits the anime challenge. Next up is Chamber of Grit, which is anything gritty, whether that's style or content. First off, it's proportionally well done, and the contrast is really good. You got the nice faded out, nice blurriness in the background. I think the white should be a little bit darker so that the highlights of the eyes could pop out more. So that's one thing you usually want to do when you have really strong highlights in the eyes, is you want to make sure all the other whites in the picture are not as bright as the highlight. Being that it's the Chamber of Grit, I would have liked to seen more texture on the helmets and on the boots, but overall a pass from me. Fun imagery there. Next up is the Chamber of Nostalgia, and we have Michelangelo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles eating pizza and Funyuns. Definitely a fun, simple piece. So we got a 3-point perspective piece. Now, usually with the low vanishing point, the bottom vanishing point, or the nadir, is way off the page unless you're looking straight down. So a nice trick is using the path tool to make perspective lines. Also, the lower bunny slipper should be smaller since it's further away, and you should be able to see more of the top of his right thigh. It looks kind of more like you're just seeing him head on. But this does make me nostalgic, so it is definitely a pass for me. Last but not least is the Chamber of Curves. He chose to draw Katy Perry from the Teenage Dream cover. Now, drawing women is all about curves, so definitely a good choice. For this chamber, I suggest going Art Deco, because they usually tend to curve everything up, which works in his favor because his style is kind of Art Deco-y anyways. The face proportions are spot on. My main critiques can be forgiven, mainly because this chamber is in reference to Art Deco, so it's not about 100% realism. But I would have went a little bit softer on the eyebrows, and then tapered the eyelashes more, and also shifted the hues a little bit more to the reds, but your hues overall are consistent, so it's a pass. The only real issue I see is you could have shaded the arm a little bit more, since it looks kind of flat. Super easy fix here. All you got to do is make a selection in the shape of the arm, get a soft brush, create a multiply layer, and hit it with a little bit of a reddish brown, and that should fix that right up. But you nailed it with the likeness, so you get an A from me.
Flawless.
Congratulations to Alan Ayala. He is now Alan Ayala Senpai. Give him some love at his Instagram at Alan_Andrew Ayala for being man enough to take the challenge. Alan's definitely on his way to mastery. His works that he's working on so far are shaping up real nicely. The main takeaway, I would say, is utilize more textures, get smoother lines, and look out for tangents. Definitely leave a comment below if you have any critiques of your own. Any of them help us get better as artists. Want to join the challenge? Either send me a message, leave a comment, go to my social media, which is in the description. All the chambers are laid out on my DeviantArt page, or you can watch the video where I lay out each one. I even made a cool little infographic for that. I'd love to hear from you, but until then, stay frosty.